There are a few differences between a guy that's always lean and the guy that's always chubby. I was the latter. I could be training harder than everyone else in the gym, doing hours and hours of football, but the fatty layer remained. So I know all there is to know about the things I used to do that would pretty much guarantee that I would stay that way. Fast forward to now, I can maintain a lean body throughout the entire year. So in this video, we're going to go into the 8 habits that keep you chubby. So the number 1 habit is liquid calories. People seem to think because drinking and eating are different verbs, somehow drinking doesn't count. If you don't factor in liquid calories, then you can do all the great things on your diet. You're gonna end up with a caloric total that you just didn't expect. It's gonna be way higher. You have a frappuccino, it's like 328 calories or something like this. You have a Coca-Cola, maybe 2, that's 150 each, that's 300 calories. Suddenly you have 600 calories worth of drinks, which, by the way, if you had to translate to weight training, you cannot burn 600 calories weight training unless you go super hard for like 2 hours, which only some people do. I don't recommend that style of training, as you guys know. And if you were to run or cycle 600 calories, it would be 2 hours, 2 Diet Cokes. How easy is that? 2 hours of running. What the hell? That's why I would play hours and hours of football thinking, oh my god, I did so much exercise. Down a Coca-Cola and maybe, I don't know, a Lucozade, and then have some cookies. It's over. It's over. So do not underestimate liquid calories. When you go for drinks, try to go, instead of going for the latte, go for the black coffee. Instead of going for the super sweet Orangina, you go for the Diet Coke if you want something that is fizzy. Go for the sparkling water, even better. You avoid all the crappy chemicals. Liquid calories. Stay away from them like the plague if you're someone who's chubby and trying to get lean. Next, frequent snacks and late night cravings. The people that are chubby are always snacking on things. I'm gonna get onto the reason for that in a later point, but you're always having a biscuit here, a cookie there. You go to jiu-jitsu and the person there brings like gelato. You having that? Happened to me today. Your mother brings back a bunch of like these biscuits she got from work, and then there's some chocolate lying around from yesterday. Guess what? They all add up again. And usually snacks are sweet, which means they're high in calories. And again, that's just going to bring your caloric total to a higher number than your caloric maintenance, which is what keeps you chubby, which is what makes you gain fat. Try to stay away from frequent snacking. Let me tell you a story, right? So I had ice cream, these Korean lollipop ice creams, like 8 days in a row around 9 p.m, 10 p.m. And then this week, this most recent week, I stopped doing it because there's no more ice cream in the freezer. And it's almost like clockwork. At 9 p.m, 10 p.m, my body's like, where's the sweet stuff? Where's the dessert? Where's the ice cream? I start craving it, something that I never did, just because my body got used to that, being fed that dopamine spike, being fed that sugar rush at that time. So you quickly develop this kind of addiction and the wrong kind of rhythm that you do not want your body to adopt. Be wary of what kind of cycle and what kind of rhythms you are putting your body into, and that goes for late night cravings as well. Next, binge eating weekends, trips, and episodes. Let's say you have a family gathering, your mother-in-law, your girlfriend's mom, a whole array of food, and you just go nuts. Oh, it's a one-off. You go on a camping trip with your friends, the beers, the pizzas, the extra meat feast, the pepperonis, the wine. Need I go on? The damage you can do in a single weekend is pretty severe. You can do about 2 kilograms of damage and some extra emotional damage on top of that as well. Of course, as you know, if you watch this channel, I'm for a flexible life. I'm about enjoying trips and not being like protein obsessed gym bro all the time. So go enjoy all those things, but you must have some sort of plan. You must have some sort of idea of what you're putting in your body, because yeah, a weekend can set you back 2 weeks, even 3 weeks worth of good work. Next, this is a big one. Eating to escape rather than to fuel. Let's call this emotional eating. I want you to know I'm speaking from experience. This is not me pointing fingers at anyone. This is purely from experience. I still go through this, where if you feel a little stressed, a little sad, a little like you don't want to be in this moment, you're like, where's that biscuit? Where's that cookie? Because the sugar rush, the good feeling of the chewing and the eating is going to take away from that stressful feeling. So you eat it. You're not really hungry. You're not eating to fuel your body for performance or for work or anything useful. You're just using food as an addiction. You resort to food as a way to escape the current moment. Maybe you're stressed about work. Maybe you're stressed about what I'm going to do with my life. Maybe you're stressed about the assignment, the relationship at home, or your girlfriend. You're just like, you know what? Ice cream. Who relates to this? Come on now. I still do this. I still do this. So the first step is to catch yourself doing that and be like, whoa, that's what I'm doing right now. The more times you catch yourself doing that, the more chance you have to stop doing that. Of course, how do you fix emotional eating? That's very deep. It goes a long way. There's a lot of things I could say about it, but it's not something that just gets solved by me telling you a couple tactics on a YouTube video. Just be aware of that. Just be aware of these things. It's the same way the smoking people. Again, I used to binge smoke, chain smoke, because when I'm smoking, I'm not thinking about that thing. It's something to do. It's something to break the stress, something to get away, something to run away. Same thing is with food. And the psychologist Gabor Mate talks about this a lot, where he says addiction is not just alcohol and nicotine and cigarettes and all this kind of stuff. Addiction is everything that you use to run away from the moment. It could be sex, it could be food, it could be reading, it could be whatever it is. Most people have a food addiction or a sugar addiction, dopamine addiction. Think about that. Next, you can't say no. Again, speaking from experience, I was always trying to be a good son. I didn't like conflict. I like to get along with people, so I just tend to say yes and not cause big conflicts. It's one of those parts of my personality that I dislike, that I want to change, that I'm working to change, that I've gotten better at actually. But these people that find it hard to say no, it's the same thing with food. You find it hard to say no to your own urges. You find it hard to say no to other people saying eat. You find it hard to say no to your friends that are like, what diet, bro? Don't be silly, have this pizza. Who wants to be on a diet? Just live a little. You eat it, don't you? Because you want to get along, you know, like, oh, people laughing at you, trying to get a six-pack, trying to get lean. They don't want you to get lean. They're trying to poke fun at you. If you think about it, your skin is the boundary between your inner world and the outside world. Your mouth is the boundary between the outer world and your literal internal system. But if you have shitty boundaries, if you have no definition between you and the world, you just get wishy-washy, wobbly, pushovers, shit starts coming in your mouth, people start telling you what to do in your life. It's all about boundary. And no wonder your body has no boundaries. Your body has no definition because your structure as a being does not have boundaries and definition. Got a little bit deep, kind of speaking to myself there, but it's a deep point, that one. Some of you will resonate with it. Next, you have no systems of training and diet. You just go train one way, train another way. You just go to failure. Oh, it's shoulder day, it's back day. You may have like these bro splits or whatever split, but there's no real system. It's not a long-term plan. It's not thought out. It's this influencer and that influencer and this YouTuber and that YouTuber you bounce about. Same with diet. It's your aunt's advice, then your grandma's advice, then it's this YouTuber's advice, then it's keto, then it's paleo, then it's vegan. You start floating about, you never get any kind of results, or every result is overshadowed by the next bounce because you can never sustain it. Listen, you need a system. You need a system so that you can turn off all that mental energy you spend on how do I train, what do I train, how do I eat, what do I eat. So you just go on autopilot. You're just like, boom, this is what I do. That will get you lean. But people that are chubby don't have these systems. It's just fluctuating all the time. If you want, by the way, my system and the way I structure everything, check out the link below because I have many coaching programs that go into that. If you don't want to do that, just watch some of my YouTube videos, get familiar with the minimalist system and try that. Next, every day is different. This is kind of the extension of the same point, but let's focus down on the diet. Every day, what you eat can change and fluctuate. A lean guy who's not just like super skinny, but a lean guy with an aesthetic body, if you take those guys throughout the world, 100 of those guys, 95 of them are gonna have certain ways of eating that's pretty consistent, that don't change that much. And they're gonna have a certain lifestyle as well with training and things like this. And it's just set. It's just how they are. It's just how they live. Now compare that to someone who's on the chubby side. Usually they'll eat this and then they'll eat that and then they'll eat this and then they'll eat that. They'll eat this much this day and then this much the other day and then huge and then small and then Thursday binge and then drink. Like, it's all over the place. Every day is different. How are you supposed to track what works for you, what doesn't work for you, what makes you hold on to more water, what gives you more stress, what messes up your sleep, what drops your weight? You can track. You cannot know any of that because every variable is constantly changing. Systems, some structure, some consistency, but that does not mean you need to build rigid system. You can build flexible systems, but there must be a structure. There must be an order inside the chaos. Next, the final point, can you guess it? Limiting beliefs about oneself. This goes real deep. Limiting beliefs about oneself is actually what causes all of these habits that we talked about. The reason you binge eat, the late snacks, the reason your system changes, the reason you can't say no, all of it boils down to this idea of self-sabotage. Some guys, they seem to just find it easy not to do certain things, but for me it's so hard. I always end up binge eating. I'm going well and then I have that weekend. You always shoot yourself in the foot. You always bring yourself back down. First step is to realize it and not to externalize the blame and saying, oh, it's my mom, she always cooks this fried food. Oh, it's my friend, why did they say drink this? Take responsibility. You sabotage yourself, and the reason you do that oftentimes is because you don't actually believe that you deserve a non-chubby body. There's a difference between wanting something and actually feeling like you deserve it. A lot of people that are chubby or on the fat side, they actually have an identity based on that body, and you don't actually believe that you deserve anything else. Oftentimes you have low self-esteem. All of that was instilled in you through past experiences of pain and shame and even trauma. Maybe your boundaries were breached when you were a child, maybe you were bullied, and carrying more fat and more size is a way to protect yourself, is a way to not allow yourself to be taken advantage of again. Think about some other things that could have happened. A lot of the times when it's obesity, when it's, chubbiness, we're dealing with issues not just of boundaries, but of an emotional need, a deep emotional need. You were maybe given to a caretaker too early, or your parents neglected you for a little bit during your upbringing when you really needed them. Or maybe it was just one moment when it was at the family dinner table. Whatever it is, it may have instilled in you this emotional lack that you compensate for with food, that you put additional layers of protection, and it's to fill the lack. I give a lot of very good tactics and things in my channel, but you have to understand on some level it does run deeper, and it doesn't just apply to chubby fat people, it applies to skinny people, it even applies to lean aesthetic people. Everybody has their own version of the story and the self-narrative that is instilled in them through their past experiences, and in a way the journey of growth, not just in your body but spiritually as a whole in your life, is to gather those pieces of yourself, the fragments that are left in the shadow. I appreciate your support and see you in the next video.